Hey everyone, it's Sevilla I Love, and welcome back to my YouTube channel where we are getting back to living and loving life again after a major life-altering loss, such as being widowed. Tonight we're talking about a subject I hear so often. Widows going hot and cold on you and what you can do about it. So maybe you've met someone that you really, really like, and it seems like they like you too. I mean, they're into you, and they've given you all the signs that say you are someone that they're very seriously interested in. And then all of a sudden, from out of the blue, you get ghosted. Whoa, WTF was that? And is this a widow thing, or is this this particular person thing? What's going on? And so there's a number of factors that you should look at when you're trying to evaluate your situation with this person and if you should hang on or not. So number one, it's really important to look at how far out from their loss they are. Now, a lot of times we'll say a year is a pretty respectable time frame. Honestly, it's different for everyone, and there are no hard and fast rules. But that's one that society tends to have some respect for. But really, in terms of the person's individual process, and when we look at the bell curve of human behavior, really early in someone's loss is the first 2 years. Now, what that means is that they may be dating again and ready to reach out and have new love in their life, but the process of grief for an individual, whether they had a fabulous relationship or whether it wasn't so great, it's still going to have an impact on the psyche, that sudden loss. Now, even if they were expecting the loss, it's still a sudden loss because one minute the person is there and the next minute they're not. Now, we could talk about the different types of loss, but that's not what this video is about. So if they're early in their loss, within the first couple of years, you may be more likely to see that type of hot and cold behavior because there's so many things. This is so important to understand. There's so many things that are new to them, things they've never experienced before, and so many new things that they have to navigate that are God awful, confusing and complicated. They may be battling with children or themselves, battling with children meaning that their kids don't want them to move on. Or they may have a very tight social structure that they're afraid to upset with something new. They may have a struggle with their sense of identity and trying to imagine themselves being anybody but so-and-so's wife or husband, even though they have the desire to move forward. So you run into this struggle with this self-identity crisis that the widow or widower may be having within themselves. And it literally has nothing to do with you or the quality of you as a human being, as a potential mate. You may be the most perfect person in the world for them. You're kind, you're compassionate, you understand, you're willing to talk things out with them. Wow, those are some fantastic qualities, and someone should be enjoying them. Now, if you're getting this hot and cold response from the person that you have affections for that's been widowed, listen, number one, you have to take care of yourself. You have to put yourself first. Now, there's a way that you can do this and still keep the door open if you feel like there's real hope. If you want to sit and wait around for a year or two or however long it takes for them to decide that they're really ready, then you can do that. That's fine. We're all adults here, right? We get to choose and we get to own those choices. However, the widow that's coming to you and then pulling back from you has a lot of work that needs to be done within themselves. And I help people with that. I help widowers all the time try to navigate that loss and rebuild their lives. And if you're interested in having some kind of help like that, I do do consultation and guidance sessions with clients. I'm a therapist with over 20 years of experience, and I tell you, it is something that can make a big difference. And you can find me on my website at www.sevillaiLove.com, and I'll have it here below and in the description below this video. Now, when you're deciding, how do I put myself first here and still give this person space, or should I just leave and forget about this person altogether? So, like I said, okay, if you're looking at somebody that's been in the first 2 years, that's one factor to consider. The next one is, how traumatized do you suspect they were by the loss? Did their spouse die in their arms suddenly and unexpectedly? Was there a traumatic accident or a murder or death by suicide? These types of, and I'm not saying it's not traumatic to lose a spouse to a terminal illness, because it is and can be. But when I talk about trauma, I'm talking about how the brain and that person's psyche was affected, because that may mean that they need even more time to be able to heal. And has the widow that you're working with had any help or support? How resilient are they as an individual based on what you know of them? Do they have a good support system? That's another big one as well. For someone recovering from a major loss, having that community and support system is vital. So if they have a good support system, that's a great sign that they probably have a better chance at being more resilient and being able to open up. But if they're alone and don't have a lot of outside support, then that means their healing may be a little bit slower. So these are some things that you can look at when you're trying to weigh what you should do. Do they have family that is supportive of them or against them in terms of their starting over? Has your widower said to you, oh, my kids aren't going to like this, right? And are they overly concerned with their kids not liking it, is something to consider. Because then they don't feel like the decision is theirs alone. They're putting their decision-making capacity into the hands of others. Now, if they have small children, this is something that's different that they have to deal with versus having adult children, okay? If they have adult children that they're allowing to control their lives, that's also something to think about, versus a widow that is trying to make good choices for small dependent children or teenagers, for example. Those are different scenarios. The other thing is, it's possible that they may just be having fun. They may want something that is non-committed and something that they can go and have fun with and leave. And what you need to find out is if that's their game or not. And sometimes it's just a matter of asking to say, hey, I'd just like to know what it is you're interested in. If you are wanting something more, or you just want to have a good time. And if you're open to a good time, then say so. And if you're not open to a good time, just a good time, then say so as well. It is hard when you've been through a traumatic loss to be vulnerable again to anyone or anything, because the pain that they may be experiencing right now, even if they don't act like it on a normal, regular basis, they're still going to work and they're functioning and doing all these things, but there's this heaviness on the heart that is like carrying around a 50-ton weight on your soul. And the thing about grief is that when I say it takes time, the amount of time is different for everyone, for a space to grow around the grief. Because this is the deal, is that the grief of a loss never gets any smaller. The only thing that gets better is the space around that giant ball of grief that's always the same size. Now, you may be a wonderful, just beautiful, sunny day in a dark, otherwise dark world for this widow. And you may be bringing in so much joy and love and light, and they are just enjoying you so much. And I would say that that's probably very, very real for them. Very real. And so are their fears. Very real. So is their need to withdraw. So is their feelings of guilt. So is the feeling of responsibility to other members and their family, depending on their situation. And so it's, for many widows, it's not just about them. It's about their whole system. And so while they feel responsible for everyone and everything, they're denying themselves, which is one of the reasons why I do what I do, and helping widows to be able to open up to living and loving life again after these kinds of losses. And hopefully helping you, people who are wanting to date these widows, to be able to navigate a little bit better. So the bottom line is that when you look at all the different factors involved, is there too much against you, right? To keep hanging in and waiting around? Or is there enough going for you that it's worth waiting for? So the choice has to be yours and yours alone. But know that you deserve to be loved. You deserve to be cherished. You deserve to be respected, honored, and wanted on a regular and consistent basis. Now, if that widow has the help that they need, then you can still be with this person while they're grieving, because they're also learning to come out of the grief. And you may be helping them do that by bringing so much joy and happiness into their world. So don't feel like when you're with them, just because they're still sad inside, that they're not also enjoying you, because they may very well be. These two things can exist at the same time, and it does get better for them. It does. I know for myself, I was seriously dating a guy a year and a half after my husband passed, and it was really confusing because I really liked this new guy, and I had a small child, and I knew that I wanted him to have a father again. And was this the right guy to be a father, to my son? And does he want to? Well, he said he did. He said he wanted to have a family again. So we had things in common. We had similar goals and ideals. So these things were fine. But at the same time, I still would cry at night. I still would go off on my own and have moments of anger and tears and regrets and, traumatic moments. All of these things were existing simultaneously while I was falling in love with someone else. So what I want you to hear about this, if you're dating a widower, is that if you can stand by with them and they are being loving and open and inviting enough to you in their lives, they're making space for you in their world, then it's probably worth sticking around for if you're really enjoying this person. Right? So you just have to weigh your situation. Now, if you would like some more guidance on that, if you want to talk to me about your personal story, you're welcome to book a session with me. Like I said, you can find me on my website, and that link is going to be below. But when you are trying to navigate your own confusing feelings with those of your widower, just know that it can be done. It can be very valuable and super rewarding to be with this new person, and for you to bring that new joy and love and light into their life. This can be successful, but there are situations where it might be best for you to step back and allow this person the space they need to heal, and then you go take care of yourself and live your life And if you come back together again at a future time, then that's wonderful. But in the meantime, you need to take care of yourself. You want to date other people, but just really bring your focus into your own self-care and allow yourself to be able to find some release around this person. Because I know it can be difficult to let them go, if that's what needs to be done. Now, if they're yo-yoing you, they want you 1 week, they don't want you the next, they want you 1 week, they don't want you the next, then what I recommend is that you encourage your widow or widower to get some good support that can help them navigate their grief. If you want to turn them my way, you're welcome to do that, because I see people all over the world. I want you all to know, whether you're widowed or whether you're dating one, that you're worthy, you're valuable, and you deserve to be loved. Now go out and get it. Subscribe.